My name is Trisha. Sitting here in my quiet apartment, surrounded by the remnants of a legal battle that tore my family apart, I'm reminded of the day my world turned upside down. It was a typical workday when a process server handed me an envelope, and inside was a lawsuit for my parents, demanding $682,000 for a house I never agreed to buy. Growing up in the Thompson family, there was always a clear favorite. My sister, Lily, was the life of the party. Charismatic and charming, she could light up any room with her smile. Teachers adored her, and neighbors always had kind words for her. Meanwhile, I was the quiet one, more interested in numbers and spreadsheets than small talk and gossip. I excelled in school, but my parents' praise always seemed to be reserved for Lily. When Lily got married at 25 and had 2 kids by 29, my parents were over the moon. They helped her and her husband, Jake, with their living expenses for years. When I graduated with student loans, I paid them off on my own. Not once did my parents offer to help or even ask if I needed it. Every holiday was the same. My mother would watch Lily with her children and then turn to me with a look that said I was lacking something. "You should learn from your sister," she'd say. "Lily knows how to make a life." 3 years ago, Lily called me asking for $12,000. She said she needed a new car, and Jake's job wasn't covering all the expenses. She promised to pay me back in 6 months, but I said no. She still owed me $7,000 from the last time, money I'd never seen again and never even been thanked for. That night, my mother called me in tears, asking how I could be so heartless to my own sister. 6 months later, Lily asked me to co-sign her business loan. The bank wanted a guarantor, and her credit wasn't strong enough. I declined, explaining the legal risks. My father responded with weeks of silence, a cold treatment that cut deep. Then, when I missed my niece's birthday party due to a work deadline, Lily posted on Facebook about how family should always come first. Many of our relatives liked and commented, agreeing with her, calling me selfish. After that, I started keeping records. Every request, every refusal, and every guilt trip that followed. I created a folder in my email named Family Requests, not out of spite, but because I knew I needed proof that I wasn't the problem. Little did I know how important that folder would become. One day, I received an ordinary-looking envelope from the bank. It was a notice for an overdue mortgage payment on a property I'd never heard of. The outstanding balance was $682,000, and my name was listed as a co-signer. I called the bank immediately, and the representative confirmed that I was on the mortgage, which had been opened 14 months ago. The primary borrowers were my parents and Lily. That night, I called my mother. She was initially casual, as if nothing was wrong. When I confronted her about the mortgage, she finally admitted that they'd used my name. "We decided you should help," my father said on the phone. "Lily needed the house, and you have a good job." I was furious. I reminded them that I'd paid off my own student loans, while they'd paid for Lily's entire education. They dismissed my concerns, saying it was different because I was always difficult. I didn't sleep that night. I knew that if the mortgage defaulted with my name on it, my credit score would be destroyed and my career in finance would be at risk. At 2 a.m., I called my old college friend, Alex. He'd become a real estate lawyer, specializing in mortgage fraud. I told him everything, and he assured me that if I hadn't signed, it was identity fraud and forgery. He advised me to get copies of all the mortgage documents and to find any evidence that I'd never agreed to the loan. I remembered the email I'd sent Lily 3 years ago when she'd asked me to co-sign her business loan. I'd clearly stated that I'd never co-sign any loan for her. I found the email, read it twice, and forwarded it to Alex. 2 weeks later, I went to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. It was an ambush. The whole family was there, and Lily stood up, saying that we were all there to talk about the house. My father demanded that I help, and several relatives joined in, calling me selfish. Lily claimed that I'd verbally agreed to help at a Christmas dinner 2 years ago. I insisted that thinking about it wasn't the same as signing a contract, but they wouldn't listen. My grandfather, who'd always been a quiet presence in the family, pulled me aside before I left. He apologized and told me that he'd try to talk sense into my father, but that he wouldn't listen. He also hinted that something was wrong with the notary date on the mortgage documents. That night, I started digging. Under federal law, I had the right to request copies of the mortgage application. When I received them, I compared my signature on the documents to my actual signature. There were clear differences. Then, I checked the notary date. On that day, I'd been at a professional conference in another state. I had the boarding pass, hotel receipts, and photos to prove it. I also found an email chain between Lily and the loan officer. Lily had asked if she could add me to the application without my physical presence, and the loan officer had said it was okay as long as the documents were properly notarized. It was clear that they'd cut corners and forged my signature. I reported the identity fraud and forgery to the police. A detective from the Financial Crimes Unit opened a formal investigation. Around the same time, my parents filed a lawsuit against me, claiming that I'd breached an oral contract and caused them financial harm. Lily was listed as a witness. Lily also posted on Facebook, painting me as the villain who'd abandoned the family over money. Many of our relatives and friends believed her, and my reputation started to crumble. But I followed Alex's advice and stayed silent on social media, knowing that the courtroom was where the truth would be revealed. Christmas came and went. I found out through social media that the whole family had gathered at my parents' house, except for me. My mother texted me, saying that I'd chosen this. I didn't respond. Finally, the day of the court hearing arrived. I wore my best suit, determined not to show any signs of weakness. My parents, Lily, and several relatives sat on the plaintiff's side. Their lawyer tried to convince the judge that I'd verbally agreed to help with the mortgage. Lily took the stand and testified that I'd nodded at a Christmas dinner, which she claimed was an agreement. But Alex was ready. He presented the evidence, the different signatures, the flight records, and the email chain. When he read the emails between Lily and the loan officer in court, the room erupted in whispers. Lily tried to defend herself, but it was too late. She ended up throwing her own father under the bus, saying that he'd told her it was fine. The judge reviewed all the evidence and dismissed the case with prejudice. She also referred the mortgage documents and related emails to the district attorney's office for potential fraud charges. Alex then presented my counter, claim for identity fraud, forgery, and damages to my credit and reputation. After the hearing, Lily came at me, screaming that I'd destroyed the family. Jake confronted her, saying that he couldn't trust her anymore. Their marriage started to fall apart. 2 months later, the bank completed its investigation. The loan officer had violated multiple compliance protocols and was fired. The notary, a friend of my father's, had his license revoked. My name was removed from the mortgage, and my credit score started to recover. The district attorney decided not to pursue criminal charges, citing it as a first offense and a family matter. However, my parents and Lily received civil penalties and formal warnings. My counter, claims settled out of court, and they agreed to pay my legal fees. The family I once knew didn't survive the trial. Lily and Jake separated, and my parents had to sell the house. My mother sent me an email saying that I'd ruined them, but I didn't reply. I've since changed my last name to my mother's maiden name. I started therapy to understand why I'd allowed myself to be treated poorly for so long. I've also made new friends, people who respect my boundaries. Looking back, I know that I didn't choose money over family. I chose integrity, the right to my own signature, and the freedom to say no. Some battles are worth fighting, even when they're against your own blood. If you've ever been in a similar situation, know that you're not alone. Share your story in the comments, and let's support each other.